Sometimes it seems our minds are kind of ripe to get played by the vultures in our culture who keep hoping to withhold us from anything any deeper than work.
Regie Gibson is Massachusetts' first poet laureate. Congratulations on that title.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm looking forward to digging in.
And for those who may not know, what exactly is a poet laureate and why does the state need one?
Well, we've never had one, first and foremost, right? And that's been 400 years. And I think it's about, for me, about starting poetry fires all over the place.
Poetry fires?
Poetry fires, right?
Oh, my goodness.
The kind we hope you can't put out. And for me, poetry is about civic engagement. Mm-hmm. And I think that a poet laureate's responsibility is to engage civically with people and to call us back, I would say, to, as Lincoln would say, the better angels of our nature, and to see how literature can do that, and especially literature which is not strictly within the confines of pages, but is also embodied and spoken.
So you're going to start a little poetry fire here at GBH News.
I would hope so, but something tells me it already kind of exists.
We do some wordsmithing around
Yes,
here from time
I've
to
noticed.
time. Yes, please go right ahead and tell. And what are you performing?
The piece I'll present, which is an excerpt, it is a piece, I guess, that first connected me to Massachusetts when I was about 15 years of age. It's on that subject. It is on the transcendentalist Henry David Thoreau. Mm-hmm. Out of Concord, and I read a book, Walden, when I was a sophomore in high school, and it just captured me. And so this is me speaking, I guess, to those who would be so captured. Henry Thoreau told civilization, yo, I gotta go, baby, I needs me a vacation. So he headed out to Walden, whereupon he copped this revelation. Whoa, so many of us live lives of quiet desperation. Lo and behold, another transcendentalist quotation seems to capture the essence of a modern vexation. It's as if Thoreau knew that in the future, me and you would need to act in radical ways to mitigate the sad fact that because we've got to slave to keep these bills paid, sometimes it seems our minds are kind of ripe to get played by the vultures in our culture who keep hoping to withhold us from anything any deeper than work while we scold you, buy what we told you, pay what you owe, and we'll ensure you've got a student debt you'll never get over. Soldier. Treating human beings as if we're merely skin machines where the cash is, some sick profiteers, demographics, puppets made of plastic, molded, mastered, stretched thin as thread till we're bled dead into our caskets. We try to contrast it by coming off sarcastic, hating the situation we're facing that we find is so drastic. Many of us huff and puff and snort and drink all kinds of stuff to get blasted, hoping to deaden this pain that somehow seems everlasting, but eventually, we find that those actions make the masses act more passive, which keeps their minds inactive to the plans of all those fascists who want to keep us separated into races and genders and classes, because that's the way you maintain the status quo status as is. But don't let them head fake you, shake and bake and back break you down to the ground, come around, clown, and undertake you. You gotta fight back. My advice is, use whatever poetry or thing of beauty you've got trapped inside you as your weapon. Do you dig? I thank you.
Yes, we dig.
Good,
Take us
good.
back. Take us back, Reggie. So what you just shared is so relevant to the time we're living in, obviously. And we know that there is a national poet laureate.
Sure.
Ada Limon,
Sure.
and her term is ending. Given all the changes that have been happening with this administration, do you think her role will be filled?
I'm doubtful, especially given the cutbacks, and which is what you're alluding to. Yeah. And also, I am doubtful that this current administration recognizes what poetry can do to sort of bring a nation together and, again, to project our highest ideals. And I am doubtful. I'm hopeful, but I'm doubtful.
So take us back to your beginnings a little bit. When did you first fall in love with poetry?
Wow. I've done the forensics on this. And
the genealogy.
Yeah. It goes back to my great-grandfather, who was illiterate, and he worked on the railroad. And he would make up songs and poems, and he would tell stories, and most of these would rhyme because they were mnemonic devices that were meant to help him access information that he would need. And he was on the railroad the caller. He was the one who was singing the songs while the men were striking the spikes. And I remember hearing him sing one of those songs. And my great-grandmother was in the front of the house shucking peas or whatever. and she was a serious believer in the gospel. And at one point in time, I remember hearing her sing her love song to Jesus and him singing his secular work song. And those two songs sort of blended.
You gotta have a little bit of both sometimes.
Yeah, I know. And my brother and I turned to each other, and I was caught. And when I trace it back, I think that was the moment it caught me, this idea the idea of what we hold to be transcendent and this workaday thing that we must do to bring about something in reality was a bringing together of two parts of myself, the understanding that the transcendent is possible if you work for it. Right? And for me, that's what poetry is about. It's about bringing together the transcendent and the earthly and saying that we can make a spell, and if we do this spell right, we can conjure the transcendent here on earth.
Now, you grew up in Chicago, a place
I grew
that
up in
is
Chicago.
filled with spoken
Yes.
word art.
Yes.
How would you say Boston's poetry culture compares?
Well, the spoken word has been growing since the 90s, I would say. And so it's growing, and then it ebbs and it flows. There were quite a few venues around, especially in the 90s, of people who were doing more with the spoken word part of it. And I think that is happening again and more. But the poetry culture, of course, here in Boston goes back to Anne Bradstreet, right? You know, in the 17th century. And then, of course, we have Phyllis Wheatley in the 18th century, and we have so many others who have come through that. So the Boston poetry culture and the New England poetry culture and the Massachusetts poetry culture has always been strong. The spoken word has been growing stronger since the 90s, but it's pretty live and very relevant right now.
Well, Regie Gibson, the first poet laureate for Massachusetts, thank you so very much.
Paris, thank you for having me.